Your Excellency, when you asked me to accept this appointment by the chairperson of the African Union, I was reluctant to do so because I'm not used to failure. And I thought that I was being set up to fail. But after we had the discussions with the chairperson of the African Union, I accepted that and say that if it would mean that it's an opportunity to make a contribution to realize the African dream, I was ready to do so. Because, Your Excellency, you know, I am an I'm a Pan-Africanist and also an Afro-optimist. Afro-optimists as opposed to Afro-pessimists. Afro-optimists, Afro-pessimists are those who have given up on Africa. Those who say that Africa is a lost cause, that Africa is a failed continent, Africa is like a bottomless pit. Afro-optimists are those who believe in the ability of the African people to develop Africa. And I think it can be done. The founding fathers of the African independence had a clear vision for our continent. They envisaged an Africa that was united. And Kwame Nkrumah said that Africa will only develop if it is united. And they said also that Africa cannot be free if some other African parts were under the yoke of colonialism or apartheid. South Africa has been liberated. But Africa has remained all the times something that's waiting to happen, the vision of the founding fathers of the African continent. Africa has been unable to realize the greatest potential that it has. Africa, Your Excellency, is the richest continent on earth in terms of resources. Yet it is also a paradox that the richest continent is also the poorest in terms of the living conditions of the people. Now you see, when did the rain begin to beat us? Because they say that those who believe in creation, that when the world was created, God did not start with America, via Europe, and end up in Africa. It was all created at the same time. Why is it that Africa has remained backward? Colonialism happened, but it happened in other parts of the world as well. It happened in China, in Japan, in the United States as a colony, India, Taiwan, and so on and so forth. Why is it that Africa has continued to remain behind? So you say, this is what we need to solve. And you say that we can only solve it by Africans themselves. Why is it Africa is trading very little with itself and more with the rest of the world? Because Africa is not connected. It's easier to go to Kigali and sign an agreement or continental free trade. But how do you want to realize it? And I'll give a typical example. How does Kenya trade with a country called Central African Republic? It is only a stone throw away. From here, about 2 hours by plane, and we're in Bangui. Only South Sudan is between us and Central African Republic. But for our goods to get there, we need to get a ship which will be generous enough to go through the Cape of Good Hope along the Atlantic coast to Douala in Cameroon, and then by road all the way to Bangui. The French are faster there than us. So why is it not possible for us to construct a railway line that will connect us to Central African Republic? It is possible. Yet now, Your Excellency, after these deliberations, it's going to be possible to extend our lapse at the Lamu Port, South Sudan, Ethiopia Transport Corridor, to Bangui in the Central African Republic, to Yaoundé, and to Douala in Cameroon, and then create a land bridge linking the Atlantic coast and the Indian Ocean, and open up the interior of the continent, which is landlocked. Chad, Niger, the DRC, Uganda, the Congo, and so on. And then we can have a situation where goods coming from the east, from Japan, from India, from China, can all come to Lamu, and then put on a train that will be dropping some in Juba, in Bangui, in Yaoundé, for dispatch to those other countries there. And goods coming from the West, from the Americas, from Europe, will go to Douala, and vice versa. Your Excellency, traveling by road has serious challenges on the continent. First, you've got the border posts where the trucks take 3 days to cross. To say nothing about the roadblocks on the highways, which are themselves toll stations. So a lot of wastage. And that's the reason why we said we need to address the issue of rail connection to the continent. Then we also need to address the issue of energy in the continent. And we've already been told that you have, for example, the Odinga in the DRC. The DRC cannot do it alone. The DRC economy itself cannot consume that energy that will be generated in the Odinga. Your Excellency, the other one is air transport. This is the low-hanging fruit, because you need to open up the skies to allow free transport from country to country. At the moment, there are several restrictions. You have to sign a bilateral agreement before an airline can travel from one destination to another. But if you're traveling, for example, by private aircraft, then you have got clearances across, Your Excellency, to fly from Nairobi to Lagos. You'll be told, although we have gotten the Ugandan clearance, we still need another one for the DRC, we are waiting for. Then we are waiting for the Republic of Congo. Then we're waiting for Central African Republic. Then we're waiting for Cameroon before we reach Nigeria. It will take you 1 week to get those clearances. So we are artificially living in Stone Age, in the era of information revolution. So why is it not possible for African countries to ratify? The Yamoussoukro Agreement was signed in 1988. Up to now, only 27 countries have ratified it. So we say these are artificial barriers which have been put on the continent, which we need to remove so that we can be able to move in, like they move in Europe. The air transport should be the cheapest means of transport. This is too expensive in the continent compared to Europe, Your Excellency. So these are some issues that we have discussed here. As the rest has already been summarized. And I say that when I took over this Excellency, I found a partner in Afro-Champions. They become my partners. Not my partners in crime, but my partners in service delivery. And as you already said here, you've got very many intelligent people here, very committed, and the deliberation here has been very intensive and very productive. And I'm sure that we're leaving this place with a clear resolve that there's a challenge, is enormous, but there's capacity to deal with this challenge. And I believe that with goodwill from the government across the continent, we can be able to transform Africa from a third world economy to a first world economy by 2063, as the vision says, Your Excellency. Yesterday, I gave my proverb here about the African lion. And I will repeat it here for your own information, Your Excellency. I said, talking about the African lion is the king of the jungle in the continent, one of the big five. And the African lion is giving a message to the Asian tiger. And it's telling the Asian tiger that I'm the African lion. You have danced alone on the stage for far too long when I was asleep in the jungles of the Congo. The European bear retreated to the polars long time ago. The American panda is also on the retreat. Now I'm awake, and I'm sitting on African diamond, on African gold, on African bauxite, African forests, and I'm sitting also on African oil. And the African continent bounded by the mighty Nile, the Congo, the Limpopo, the Niger, the Gambia, the Mount Kilimanjaro and Kenya to the east, Atlas Mountains to the west. I have all what it takes to convert all this wealth for the benefit of the people of Africa and claim the 21st century as truly the African century, the message of the African land. With those many remarks, Your Excellency, my pleasure to invite you to come and address this audience.